Stacey here for Capital Times. Now we're very busy over at the theatre for the next couple of months. This is the hot season at the theatre. And before I get to my guest today, I'll do another take a deep breath, blast through the schedule. So starting, well, actually tonight and tomorrow night, the L.V. Rogers High School Talent Showcase, grad benefit, is going to be on the stage. And we've got two completely different shows. So we'll see how it goes. I'm the producer, that's why I'm telling you all about it. Okay. On the weekend, a real treat. It's called Where's the Net? And it's an original show created by Celeste Crowley, and it features Evie Clare. And it's about taking risks without a net, and metaphorically as well as physically, because I think you're going to see some interesting gymnastics on this show. I saw the set the other day, and it is just a kaleidoscope of color with sort of a circus format. It's really beautiful. So those tickets are available at the theatre. Melody Paranto. Oh, we're starting into the music recitals. Melody Paranto teaches young children how to play keyboards. And she has an unusual recital with a dozen keyboards on the stage and all the children. Anyway, their recital is Sunday, May the 9th at 3:00 p.m. And then comes Crimes of the Heart, which we'll be talking about today. So that's running 2 weekends. On Sunday, May the 16th, a movie, a film documentary actually. It's called Manufacturing Consent. We All Need Consent, with Noam Chomsky. And it's a critical look at media, thought control, and democracy. Interesting. So come on over to the theatre or Still Eagle and get your tickets. And then one of my favorite people's coming to town. Eric Wilson used to live here about 10 years ago. He's written things like The Kootenai Kidnapper, Murder in Disneyland, or Murder on the Canadian, and all kinds of very Canadian novels for children, probably the grade 5, 6 level, you know, it's not a child's novel, it's a junior teen novel. And he's full of Canadian background on it. Very, very cute stuff. Anyway, Eric Wilson was writing a lot of this stuff in Nelson, and he's coming back on Wednesday, May the 19th at 10:30 in the morning to talk to students. So far we have booked in schools from Trail and Castlegar. There still is room for the public in the theatre, so come and see us at the box office if you'd like to come. Also, Sunday, May the 23rd, I'm moving up a little bit just to keep you posted. Another movie, Charade this time, one of my favorites. And on May the 27th, a special presentation from the Tashi Choling Society, who rent the theatre often to do presentations. This is Prima Dasara, Indian temple dancing from Orissa. Now, all of you who are up on your Indian temple dancing know what that is, but it's completely new and different to me. So, Friday, May the 28th, Corky Evans takes the hot spot in an open forum at the theatre, 7:30 p.m. And the Light and Power Theatre Company is getting its musical variety show ready for Saturday, May the 29th. I just have an announcement to make too, that Prairie Oyster tickets are about to go on sale for Wednesday, June the 2nd, for bringing in the popular country western or popular group to Nelson at the Capitol Theatre, June 2nd. And Summer Theatre School, still calling students in at all levels. We are filling up the junior school very fast. They'll be doing Cinderella in late July. The junior high school, the auditions are on May the 14th and 15th, but the deadline for the applications for that on Friday. So if any of you out there still want to be part of that, and a really interesting show, because we're going to be doing Something's Afoot, a murder mystery musical melodrama in July. We still need a couple more children, these are not children, these are youth, junior secondary level students, and the senior secondary program in August is Midsummer Night's Dream with instructor Jeff Burns, and we still need students for that. So deadline the 7th, but they are filling up fast. And I don't believe I've mentioned on this program before, but we are sponsoring an opera in the fall. And it's with Maureen Forrester, and she'll be the star of 2 operas, one called Riders to the Sea by Ibsen, and the music is by Ralph Vaughan Williams. And the second opera is Giancarlo Menotti's The Old Maid and the Thief. And these were specially planned for Maureen Forrester to be part of, with the Electra Women's Choir and a full orchestra and staging. That's September the 19th, and the tickets aren't even available yet, but we've got a sign-up list of 50 in my office already. So they'll be $32. Now, our guests today are probably wondering when I'm going to stop. We have, in the pink shirt on my left, Sylvan Lombardi, and in the green shirt on his left is Gwen Dobie. Sylvan is the director of Crimes of the Heart, and Gwen is acting in this play. So I'm going to start with you, Sylvan, because you're the boss and the director. Tell us about this show. We had you last time when you were talking about George Bernard Shaw. Who wrote this one, and why did you pick it?
The play is by Beth Henley, and I picked it because it concentrates particularly on the strengths that women bring to difficult situations. And I have a lot of close women friends who have lived out many of the situations that go on in this play. I like to say it's a comedy about dysfunctional families, early childhood sexual abuse and suicide. Typical comedy.
Wonderful. Uplifting.
But she manages to accomplish something that's very complex. She manages to make all of those things very funny and at the same time very serious, very memorable, very poignant.
So I'm going to find something in this show for me.
For everyone, for all of us, for all of us. It's a show that contains a wealth of emotional experience.
Well, what does the set look like in this one? If we got a down-home farm, it sounds like a southern drama, or?
Well, I've gone a little bit beyond the usual realistic format that you might expect in a show like this. The set is an unusual three-dimensional floor done on 3 different levels, and it's all one room, although at times it may appear like 3 rooms. It's essentially a kitchen. And it's a kitchen that has very little in it except what's necessary for the play. So you pretty much have to operate with a certain amount of suspension of disbelief. And people walk through walls, and depending on where they are in the show, a wall can represent a window, or it can be simply something that someone steps through.
So it's a minimalist representation?
Very similar. There's a lot of squares in it. Anyone who's seen the posters will know that we have black and white squares over a large portion of everything.
Very deco. You were saying earlier you thought it was a food show. If you want to go into that?
Well, yeah. One of the things that we're realizing about this show is that there's almost no time in the show in which someone's not eating. They're either eating apples, or drinking lemonade, or eating chocolate, or eating birthday cake, or drinking coffee, or drinking water, or drinking Jack Daniels. Almost all the time something is being consumed. We're getting a special dispensation from Safeway because of this.
It's not an anorexia bulimia show. No, those aren't one of the problems we have.
No, this is not one of the problems these women have.
They love to eat.
They love to eat, and they eat whenever they can.
Who are the characters in the show? I have never seen this show. I know there's a movie of it,
Well, the play centers on the lives of 3 sisters, and there's Babe, there's Meg, and there's Lenny, and they're basically 3 people who have lived through an awful lot of crises in their lives and have now gone their separate ways. Babe is living with her husband in a nearby area, and Meg is off in California trying to start a singing career, and Lenny has stayed in the family house. And the play begins when they all come together because Babe has just shot her husband in the stomach. And
you're Babe and you've just shot your husband in the stomach.
That's right.
That's why you're smiling, okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
And the other 2 sisters are there basically to support her. And what the play centers on is how that kind of family support looks. It doesn't necessarily look like everything's always fine. Sometimes you can be supporting somebody while you're telling them something they don't want to hear. And ultimately, what keeps these 3 women from jumping over the edge as far as the sanity thing is concerned is their caring for each other, their family love. And I think the message that this play has underlying it is a very important one, especially considering all of the things that those of us experience.
So it's not a decadent downer like a Tennessee Williams play?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, despite all of the somewhat unusual situations that they get into, I think the message is basically very upbeat, and I'm excited to present this in part because I know so many women who do give these same strengths to each other, and it's kind of in a way I chose the play because it's a present for them.
Oh. What about you? Why did you want to be part of this play?
Well, the script is beautiful. I mean, it's full of little treasures, and I mean, I think it's a real privilege that I got to do this role. At the auditions, it was, if I had to cast the show, like as Sylvan said when he was casting it, he could have cast this play about 4 different ways and had 4 different interpretations of the same play, each valid. There were some very fine people who came out, and the role of Babe is very special to me. I mean, everybody can find a part of themselves in all the characters. And for me, Babe, there's a lot in that character that I can really relate to. It's very easy for me to find in my own life.
Do you take her home with you?
Oh boy, you know, she's in my head all the time, you know, and the positioning in the families. The Babe is the youngest. She's the baby. She always will be the baby. I'm the baby in my family. I always will be the baby. I know what that position in the family is like. You know, and there are a lot of role playing. There's a lot of role playing in this play, and you know, all the different sisters have different responsibilities. And I think anyone coming to this play to see it can see themselves in the position. And I mean, if you're the oldest in your family, you're going to see Lenny and go, oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Did you choose all these women in this show by their family position?
You know what's interesting
Did
in
it
all
happen
of it
that
is that there is an age difference that almost mimics the age difference between the 3 actresses. And 2 of the actresses, one is the youngest in her family, and the oldest is the oldest in her family. The middle actress is also the oldest in her family, but they all have sisters. They all have families where they can relate to this situation.
Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to be an oldest child.
Yeah.
Serious responsibility.
Yeah.
Bringing up parents.
And
really hard job.
What's interesting is the contrast in the older sister between the tendency to want to be a martyr around that and this tremendous comedy that generates out of just an overwhelming need to be responsible. You know, she comes out, I think, being one of the great comic characters because of it.
Yeah.
Something that I want to say Kathy, who's playing this part, is doing a marvelous job.
Who are the other women?
We have Kathy Brunetta playing the oldest sister, Lenny. We have Fran Patterson playing the middle sister, Meg. We have Gwen, of course, playing Babe. We have Bruce Orman, who plays the lawyer that tries to get Babe off. Bruce is coming back after a while of not being on Nelson's stages.
That's right.
Yeah, he's doing a wonderful
He
job.
last played close, a wizard, in the in the panto last Christmas.
Yeah. We have a young man who has not appeared before in any theater in Nelson, Steve Loverock, who is playing Doc, who is the former boyfriend of Meg, the middle sister. And we have Roz Harper, who is playing the cousin and next door neighbor to these women. And
now Roz is brand new here. I met her a little while ago. She's dramaturge or something like that. She's got
theater history.
Theater history.
Yeah. She has a very complex role because of all the characters in the play, she is the one that we love to hate. And it's a difficult one to bring off well, and she's doing a wonderful job with it. Last night we were all just sitting there just amazed at what she's doing with this role.
Rehearsals are exciting, especially as things change and grow.
Yeah.
Gwen, I wanted to ask you a couple of things, partly because we already asked Sylvan all these questions earlier when he was on another program, when he was a director of another show. where are you from? Where did you get your training? And because I understand you're loaded with training.
Yeah.
Your autobiography, please. Just
Well, I've just recently moved back to Canada from Italy, where I lived for 3 years. And when I was there, I studied to become an Alexander Technique teacher, which is taught in many theatre and music schools in Canada and around the world. The reason why I went into the Alexander Technique was from my theatre training. Before that, I went to the University of Windsor School of Dramatic Art, and I was doing a lot of directing and choreography and acting and dancing, and working with actors that had very little awareness and of where their left foot was. Getting them to walk across the stage was very difficult, and I didn't have the tools. One of my professors at the university had been trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London, England, and he had had much Alexander Technique training when he went to school, which led me in that direction, working with actors, being an actress myself whenever I could. I could never do it as a profession. It's far too stressful. I think amateur theatre, theatre like Nelson Little Theatre, is a wonderful outlet. The energy is so positive and so exciting, and when you get into professional theatre, it's a job, and a lot of the passion isn't there. So when I've worked with a lot of actors in professional theatre, and I worked at the Shaw Festival with the actors there, teaching the technique to them individually and in rehearsal process.
tell me about this Alexander Technique. I don't know anything about it.
Well, in a little nutshell, it's looking at simplifying. It works on the concept less is more. As an actor, there's a strong tendency to push, to really try and push what you're saying or what you're singing, or to reach your audiences, when very often what you need to be doing is focusing, releasing a lot of the buildup of tension in the body. You don't need to grip to be intense. You need to be intense and allow the body to release. It's a technique that's taught to actors, giving them a focus and a strength. It started out in the performing arts, and then found its way into a lot of other alternative therapies. I don't like to call it a therapy. It's more an education. It's dealing with how can you sit without abusing your body. Habitually, we're sitting and doing a lot of damage on our body. So how can an actor use their body like an instrument, and a very uniform breathing instrument? If you're completely clenched with tension, it's very difficult to...
So it's satisfying for the actors. In other words, it really, does it change the way they act? What's the result in how they deliver?
I have seen it really release an actor from habitual tensions and blocks. If an actor habitually holds their shoulders up like this, they're going to play whatever character they're playing with their shoulders up like this. Now let's say he's a Don Juan and his shoulders should be down like that. Well, if he can't drop his shoulders, he's blocked. It's about opening the options as an actor. You want to be this neutral vessel and be able to put on whatever characteristic is necessary for the character. Physical, whatever movement patterns that is right for that character. If you only have one movement pattern, you're blocked. So let's, when I work with an actor, I look at what kind of habitual patterns they have and see if I can make them aware of these patterns, and then perhaps change the patterns so that then they can approach the character.
Lots of video work?
Sometimes, but it's very often that they have to feel it. They have to have a sensorial experience that they are holding their shoulders up like that. Very often they don't realize it. So working,
it's also speech patterns that they will use, or
yes, the organism is a holistic thing. You can't put speech in one box and the body in another. Very often the body affects speech, the speech affects the body. It's all tied in one. You know, a lot of physical problems that people have are due to habitual bad use. We talk about they're using their body in a destructive way habitually.
So the Alexander technique is into sort of neutralizing a person to fill it up with a...
For the sense for the actor, specifically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you use it for other things too.
We work with a lot of people who have physical difficulties.
I think a few politicians could take an Alexander.
Oh yeah, a lot of politicians do. A lot of performing singers. Sting is an avid Alexander. When you look at him on stage, he's beautiful. He never tightens his neck. He's never screaming and vessels popping out of his neck. You'd never see that. You know, he just sings, and his head is beautiful. His back is lengthening, and I mean, he's using his body as his instrument, and it's nice to watch.
Does it make the difference between sort of charisma on stage and none? Do you think? I mean, there's some actors you watch. You go, you've seen Stratford actors. You know, there are some who just can't, and then you're riveted to somebody, not because of the role he's playing, but because of the a carriage, something to do with the way that person stands.
Yeah, it's very often because it's very simple. What they're doing is very simple. It can be very powerful. The audience doesn't realize that. When I don't know if you saw Romeo and Juliet on television. It was a Stratford production of Romeo and Juliet. Yes. It was beautiful to watch the actors because they, especially on television, if you're doing a close-up on an actor, and if they're doing a lot of excessive motion or excessive action, you'll lose them on television. They'll be out of the picture, and the poor cameraman will be frantically trying to follow them.
It's hard to pick up stage stuff with a camera. It's a whole
but these actors are very simple and very focused in their words. They're allowing the text to do the work.
So is she delivering Alexander at all of you, or are you doing Alexander classes?
No, but I'll tell you, as an observer of how what she knows affects the way what she acts, what I am seeing in rehearsal time is her use of her body in a very economical way, that there isn't a lot of excess motion that isn't directed at what's going on in the character. There's not a lot of nervous reaction. There's not a lot of flailing that you get with some actors who don't know what to do with their hands, so they're doing this with their hands. They're swimming.
Yeah.
Watching Gwen work is a real treat because both vocally and physically, she's very focused. And the Nelson audiences, I have to say this, are going to get a real special experience because she is doing a wonderful job.
Can we have a glimpse of Babe?
No. You have to come see the play?
Not even a glimpse of it.
No.
All right, she's hiding in there. She won't let it out.
You know, Babe could be a very hysterical character and be all over the place, and it's because she comes very close in the play, many times losing it completely. She's on the brink of utter insanity. So being on the edge all the way through the play, it could be very easy to lose it physically. So this is where I really bring the technique in, because I have to, and it's happened in rehearsal where I've lost it. I've jumped 2 acts. I've gone to the end of the play because I got so wound up and I was unable to stop myself. So just being able to focus and stay in the moment is imperative.
Well, I am looking forward to watching the Alexander technique in action.
The other side of this is that if she does lose it, what happens is that she has so much energy behind her that knives come out of drawers and go flying across the
When
stage.
she loses it, right?
Yeah. So I call it adrenalizing.
I'm careful with the knives now. I am careful with the knives.
All you people who are planning to come to this show, please wear protective clothing. Gwen is good with knives. So. Are you guys having a good time? Obviously, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is a wonderful play. My greatest hope is that if Beth Henley is somewhere in the atmosphere getting a chance to see it, that she can appreciate. Oh yeah, she's still producing a lot.
Just wondering how you meant.
That if she's hovering over Nelson at some point, she'll appreciate it as much as we are, because this is a wonderful show to do, and I'm still, as of last night, laughing my head off during rehearsals, which is a real good sign.
Yeah.
Well, actually, for those who haven't participated in community theatre shows in any way, just get out and do it sometime, because it's, well, I'm biased, 20 years of it, I can't help it. But, I mean, we all know there's a secret in this, and it's not just therapy, it's more like creativity that we can share with other people. It's, no, it isn't therapy, I would never describe it as that. It's also a way of not being anonymous, because if you, from the very backstage person to the very front stage person, if something's missing, you'll notice. So everybody is important to the show. If you start out on something small, as I did, costuming tiny things, and move to everything, I did it all, you'll find great satisfaction in it, as these two have. I want to thank you for coming. We've got to tell them first, when before we leave though, the show is running, starting, let's get the dates right, okay? Crimes of the Heart. May 13th, 14th, and 15th, with a 2-for-1 night, opening night. Nelson Little Theatre's wonderful, glorious tradition. And it also runs its second weekend, Thursday, May 20th, 21st, 22nd. The tickets are $8. No, sorry, tickets are
$8.50, I think.
$8.50, and I believe $6.50 for students and seniors. So, break your legs.
I don't think you should tell her that.
No, don't say that, please.
Just keep the audience safe. Okay, Gwen?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, and don't forget the community, all of you young thespians, come on out to the Summer Theatre School. See you next time. Bye.